Tech News Weekly is sponsored by Hover.com. Go to gfu.hover.com and get 10% off your entire purchase. FreshBooks. FreshBooks is an easy-to-use online invoicing service that saves you time, gets you paid faster, and makes you look professional. Get started completely for free at FreshBooks.com. And by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook by going to audiblepodcast.com/GFQ.
Starting the Tech News Weekly in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome everybody to Tech News Weekly. This is the show where we cover everything that happened in technology, or everything we want to cover in technology. I'm your host, Andrew Zarian. I'm joined by Suncast, as I am almost every week. How you doing, Suncast?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Very good, actually. Getting over the cold, but it's freezing.
That's always a good thing.
It's freezing here in New
York. I know
York.
you've been sick for a while, too, so.
Yeah, you know what it is? When I get sick, I never get like a crazy fever type sick, but I'll have this cold last about 2 weeks.
Right.
And I'll feel it. I still feel it kind of in my throat. And why is camera 2 not working? That's interesting. Well, everything always breaks here at the network. There we go. Camera 2's back on.
It's so abusive.
I know. I always seem to get sick, get really sick for about 2 days, and then it just stays, and it doesn't go away. Just stays for about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever. So I'm still feeling it. Hopefully it'll go away soon, but the show must go on, right?
Yep.
Famous words. A lot went on, actually, this week, and a lot of late-breaking stuff happened.
It's been an interesting week with some interesting news and just some stuff that was surprising, I think.
Well, I'm surprised, actually, about the move that HP did, I should say, with WebOS. WebOS is now open source, which is very interesting considering HP paid Palm to acquire them. Pretty much, they just pretty much want to acquire WebOS. They paid them $1.2 billion last year. This is
what a mistake that
was.
A
little over a year ago. $1.2 billion. We saw HP for a short time claiming that this is going to be HP standard, and you're going to have WebOS on every computer in 2012. So you're going to have, a dual option. You could either boot up in WebOS or you could boot up in Windows. And people were starting to speculate if this is the path HP is going to take, much like how IBM took. How they drop Windows, and can they drop Windows? Could this become a standard for HP? Will this become another competitor in the desktop OS?
No.
And it just fell apart. I mean, it literally overnight, they bought the company, they released a couple phones, they did nothing with it, and it totally collapsed.
Do you think this is a latch-ditch effort on the part of HP to keep WebOS live in some form?
I don't think it's HP wanting to do it. I think it's the team that's behind HP. There was massive restructuring at HP, and over the summer, to kind of sum up the history of HP over the year, and on next week we're going to do the best of and the worst of. I believe we're starting off with the worst of for What the Tech with Paul. And HP will be my big flop of the year. Because HP was all over the place. We're killing the PC. We're not killing the PC division. We never said we're killing the PC division. We're killing WebOS. We're not killing WebOS. We're getting into the phone market. We're not getting into it. And then they brought back the touchpad. And actually, there's a fire sale going on this weekend, which we'll get to later on. I think on eBay, they're still selling them for $99. So pretty much WebOS is not officially dead, but it has been turned into a open source project.
A way for it to live on, I think.
So do you know exactly what's going on with this? What are the exact details? Because we added this later on in the show. We had already written the show when this news came out.
I think you know more than I do. I only skimmed the article. from what I understand, is that they've just decided, in my opinion, this is a last-ditch effort
Sure.
to save WebOS, and what else can they do with it?
But what are they claiming? I mean, are they claiming, and how open source is this going to be? Are they going to release a source
They
code?
don't say. That's the
Yeah.
thing. They don't really say what's going on with this. It's basically just an announcement that WebOS is now open source.
It says that the next step includes engaging the open source community to define the WebOS open source charter and to develop a plan on how it will be governed, much likely it ran under the Apache style license.
Yeah, I mean, they're comparing this to the Android operating system, and then Mozilla, Java, Oracle, and all those companies. But then again, you got to think about that. Those companies are huge companies in themselves, and they also have a lot of money backing those companies. And I'm not necessarily sure that HP is willing to put any sort of money towards WebOS, and they don't necessarily care to make a profit off it either.
No, well, it would be a shame if they killed the project. I think what pretty much happened was they tried to sell this. They didn't get the bids that they want, and they said, well, hell with it. Let's make it open source.
Well, what else are they going to do with it?
They could kill it. They could take it and put it in the closet. Yeah, they could put it in the closet. I mean, this is pretty much a nail in the coffin, but this is great for existing touchpad and pre-owners because, according to Mashable, you could expect receiving updates in the future about the device. And people are going to further develop this, and there are going to be companies that further develop this.
But it's yet to know if it's actually going to pan out to be anything
Who knows?
decent,
Yeah.
or is it just going to be one of those open source projects that just kind of lingers around? There's an update every, twice a year maybe. Is it going to be that kind of an open source project?
No, I think if you
That's
put it
the
in the
thing with
hands...
open source is that you don't know who exactly is developing some of this stuff and how much time they had to develop this stuff.
I think if you put it into the hands of the community, you're going to start seeing some creative stuff coming out of this. We already
Even
see
if
it
it's
with
community,
Android.
There's communities out there that are just, they don't have the time to really
Well, look
develop
at
it
Android. Look at
and
Android.
evolve it.
Let's compare it to Android at this point.
But Android is Google backed. You can't, it's not a fair comparison when you're taking somebody like Google who has billions of dollars compared to HP and their relationship with WebOS. It's just not the same.
I find this very interesting, and to me, a smart move would be that a lot of these other companies that are trying to make tablets, one example, BlackBerry, maybe BlackBerry should look into WebOS because the platform is very similar as far as aesthetically. The BBX, well, not BBX anymore. What do they call it? BB10.
BlackBerry 10.
BlackBerry 10 platform is somewhat similar to WebOS as far as, the way that they handle certain things. It might not be a bad idea to look into this as the future platform. It's a lot cheaper to do rather than developing your own software. We're going to start seeing some interesting devices come out. We have a lot of these third-party companies making lower-end Android tablets. Maybe that won't be the answer for them. Maybe in order to hold their own, they might have to adapt WebOS and start using WebOS as a standard.
I could see that, but then again, WebOS has a negative impact right now in terms of consumers' opinion. Consumers are really turned off because they've been jerked around between Palm and HP.
Do you think the consumer knows? Do you think the consumer knows what WebOS is?
I think the people that are in the know about it, but then again, there's been a lot of news about the HP touchpad and HP killing that off, and that was the main WebOS product that they had, I think, in terms of consumer knowledge. So now there's nothing out there. They don't really care, but then again, they've been jerked around so much that it doesn't necessarily matter anymore. They're just pretty much writing it off. To me, it's already dead. So,
I do not consider it dead. I actually do think that some interesting things can come out of this.
Oh, here you go. Now you're turning it into a WebOS fanboy.
I like WebOS a lot. I do. I really like WebOS a lot, and I don't want to see it dead because I think it's a major competitor if in the right hands.
I don't want to see it dead either, but the problem is that it's been so poorly mismanaged between both Palm and HP over the last several years that there's pretty much no way to save it. Yeah, you can let it go open source, and the best I think it'll do is just linger around. Maybe some people will pick it up, further it down the road a little bit, but I don't see it being a major player, period.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens. It's still very early. Twitter redesigns Twitter. the last 2
They
days.
rebranded and redesigned their homepage.
Yeah. Let me see if I could pull it up. No, I can't pull it up, unfortunately. We should have.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. Hold on. Let me pull it up. So this is the new look for Twitter. It's significantly different. You see these boxes on the side, and it's left to right rather than up and down. I don't think it's that bad. They've kind of renamed and have these logos like home. They have connect, which is the @ symbol, and then they have discover, which is hashtags. So
they rebranded it to try to make it more user friendly, I think.
So their whole point is to simplify, but many people are saying, well, this really did not simplify it, and it kind of went against what Twitter has been. It's becoming this complicated, look for many people. I find it to be pretty simple. It's not a big deal for me. I actually do like it that it's on the side and on the top, and then I could browse on the side. But I've heard many complaints from people. They've also unified their mobile experience.
Well, that's just something that they've been doing for a while. They did announce, a while ago that they want to overhaul everything, make everything the same, no matter where you're using Twitter or how you're using Twitter. It's going to be the same experience, whether you're using it on an iPhone, your iPad, your Android device, your Windows Phone, your computer, your Mac. They want you to have the same exact experience between all of those devices.
I'll tell you something though. I'm on the iPad version, and it is not the same. And I know some people said that
the look itself is not the same as what you see on the website. And
no. The iPad version is totally different than the iOS version, than the iPhone version. And maybe mine is not updating properly, but I know some people said that there should have been an update on the iPad. And I don't see mine is still the old one.
On the iPad yet? Because I know I have it on my iPod Touch here.
I got it on the iPod Touch, and I updated my iPad yesterday with the new version.
I don't know if this will focus in on it.
There you go. Hold on. It's focusing.
I don't have my autofocus on, so it's going to be... I'll just pull up the screenshot again.
Yeah, it's fairly simple. I mean,
but you can see it in the screenshot here. Because I have mixed feelings about this. Because you have basically two different user interfaces here. You have a different user interface on your iOS device than you do on the web version. And I'm a lot more forgiving on the web version. I think with a few tweaks or a few options, I think the web version is fine. It's okay. My big problem is the Twitter application for iOS, and especially the iPhone and the iPod Touch. I can't stand to use it anymore. I was using it. I was using the official Twitter client for my iPod Touch. But I can't stand to use it anymore because the usability is completely gone from it.
Yeah.
I'm a power user, and I like to have I like to be able to power my way through some of the options. I like to have options, and I think they've kind of oversimplified it and just totally mucked up the user interface.
Well, you want to talk about messing up? I think TweetDeck, which is their latest project, they bought TweetDeck quite a long time ago. They finally released TweetDeck 1.0, which is its standalone app rather than relying on Adobe Air. I think they totally destroyed the program. It's nearly unusable for me.
Well, that's a first venture, though. I think.
But
users will forgive them if they can come back with a new version that makes everything right.
But I mean, they took something that worked quite well and a lot of people liked, and they simplified it to the point where it doesn't make sense to have it that simple. The UI is so simple where you can't really do much in the existing UI. You need to have these pop-up windows. The windows do everything.
Right, and that's exactly how I feel with this, the iOS version of the Twitter app. I don't know if you can tell, but there's actual margins between the tweets on either side, on the left and right side. And to me, that bugs me that it's not to the edges. I want to see it all the way to the edges. I don't want it taking up that little space. Even to me, that matters. And then you have the Discover tab, and that is combining both your hashtags, trending topics, and search. To me, I'd like to separate that out. I don't need to necessarily see trending topics. Plus, it actually loads pretty slow. So
yeah,
it makes it harder for me to use their application now.
I want to remind everybody you could chat with us. We have a great chat room with I'll tell you how many people in there right now. About 25 people in there at gfqlive.tv. It's an IRC room. Once you get in there, you could change your name by clicking on menu and a new nickname. I encourage everybody to do so. We have a great room in there. Brian Monroe, Damien, a lot of the regulars are in there right now, and I see more people are coming in. Also, if you miss any number of our shows, be sure to check us out at gfqnetwork.com. You can subscribe to all our shows at gfqnetwork.com. We're also on iTunes, the Zoom, pretty much everywhere else you can imagine. But if you go to gfqnetwork.com, you can check out everything there. A lot's going on, and in January we are doing a revamp of the studio. So we're tearing apart the studio, we're redoing it. I'm flying Suncast in to redo the entire studio on his own. Gowalla team joins Facebook in January. This is, I guess, Facebook's attempt to kind of redo their Places app, and they're not absorbing Gowalla. What they're doing is they're taking the engineers and they're shutting Gowalla down. And they're taking the.
Well, what's the difference? This is what I don't understand.
They're not
is that they say Facebook says they're not acquiring Gowalla, but their people and their technology will now be a part of Facebook. So, and Gowalla is actually shutting down. You won't be able to get to them after the end of the month, I think. So, what's the difference?
I think it's a whole thing with the licensing and the branding. If you remember,
they basically just agreed. Oh yeah, we'll come work for you, Facebook.
Yeah, pretty much. They're like, listen, I can't survive doing this on our own. A lot of people aren't using it, and they I guess bought the technology and they bought them, the team. They brought the team.
I still don't understand the difference. How is that not acquiring them?
It's all BS in the end. The truth of it. It's all BS. It's a lot of reasons why they're not doing
I
it.
think in plain and simple terms, that's an acquisition. You acquired those people, and what they were doing is no longer going to exist.
Well, it could have been a number of things. Maybe they couldn't agree on the brand. Maybe they wanted more money for the Gowalla brand, and they said, no, we don't want to pay you this. So they still are holding on to the Gowalla name, the original co-founders. You know, a lot of those things go into account. Facebook has been interesting because they pretty much said last year that Places was not a success and Places had failed.
I think there's a lot of these new social services out there that they're trying to capitalize on some of the successes that are out there, like Foursquare, but they're just not able to make headway and to become popular like Foursquare is. Everybody wants to be in the next Facebook and Foursquare. But that's easier said than done. Yeah, you can create a new social experience, a new social program that you would want everybody to use, like Facebook or Foursquare, but that necessarily doesn't happen overnight. I mean, you can say the same about like Groupon.
Yeah,
and
Groupon
what's the
is
other
another
Foursquare one that's out there?
There's Gowalla, there's Foursquare, and
I know there was another one out there, but I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Well, Milk is another one that came. Not Milk. Oink is another one that came out. There's a number of these GPS-based applications like that.
Right.
But
and I think
I know a lot of
they
people
all
use
have
it.
these dreams of being the next huge social networking service like Twitter and Facebook and Foursquare, but they just never materialize.
Have you used? I know a lot of people use Foursquare, but to me, I still use Facebook Places to tag, for the geolocation stuff.
I think more people are using that now than it did when it first debuted.
I find that interesting because Facebook said it was a failure.
I think there was parts of it that were a failure, but I think in its form that it is in now, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't think they necessarily had the branding right for it. They didn't need to brand it as something completely different. Just having it a part of Facebook, I think, is enough.
AT&T is rated the worst cell phone carrier for the second year in a row. Congratulations, AT&T.
Yeah, and they actually had a lower score than they did last year, too.
Yeah. What do they account to this? Why is it failing? Do you think it's a service? Because I know they've been working hard at expanding their service, but I think with the fact that a lot of people there's this mass exodus for Verizon, for the iPhone, I think that also is hurting them. A lot of people aren't blind to, the shenanigans that go on at AT&T because
I think it's a little bit
iPhone.
of everything you're saying, but it's also what they were actually saying in the article is that they were citing specifically drop calls and quality of voice, phone calls, and customer relations over the phone. Those were the two big things that they cited were reasons they got such a low score.
I think you know what's fascinating, and I know AT&T is awful here in New York City. Many people complain about it. They say Verizon is the best, and actually Verizon is the most dominant cell phone provider here in New York City. I cannot, in my area, T-Mobile does not exist. It does not work. But if you go maybe a mile away, it's great. AT&T is phenomenal in my little area here. Phenomenal. It's excellent. It's better than Verizon. But if you go maybe a couple hundred feet to the left or a couple hundred feet to the right, it doesn't work. It works great in my house. Strange. Really bizarre.
I think there's always those little pockets from every little city and every little town. Everybody's got a pocket like that where there's just no service. But it's really interesting because if you look at it, the iPhone 4S and the iPhone in general has been AT&T's savior, I think. And they're still getting tons of people signing up at AT&T for the iPhone specifically. Yet here they are with the lowest score for the second year in a row in the Consumer Reports study.
By the way, I just want to say,
the funny thing
go ahead.
is that there's another carrier. Let me see if I can find the name of it real quick.
U.S. Cellular.
Was it U.S. Cellular that also offers the iPhone? But they're also on AT&T's network. They borrow AT&T's network, and they also have the iPhone 4S, and they rated higher than AT&T did.
Really? I didn't. Let me see. U.S. Cellular.
Consumer Reports found that Consumer Cellular, MVNO, that uses AT&T's network and focuses on senior citizens, topped the list this year. It was followed closely by U.S. Cellular and a carrier called Credo that uses Sprint's network, which is weird.
I don't think U.S. Cellular has the iPhone.
There's one of them I saw that had the iPhone.
Yeah. Interesting. By the way, I was supposed to get the Nexus Galaxy today for Verizon.
We're going to talk about that again?
Yeah, I do want to go into this. And I was really excited to get it, and I had made up my mind, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to get the iPhone. I'm going to get the Galaxy. I don't want an iPhone for a couple of reasons. One, not because it's not a great phone, because it's a phenomenal phone. One, I'm already engulfed in the iOS experience, and in order to do the show, in order to comment on this stuff, I want an Android phone. I kind of need to be in the environment. Turns out that they delayed it once again. This is about the third delay for this phone. We really don't have a reason why they've delayed it. Have you found out why they've delayed it?
No, I haven't heard anything. It was all internal stuff, so we don't really know. It's not even really a delay because they've never actually officially announced the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, so it's not even official yet. So you really can't even call this a delay. There were internal leaked documents that people were saying, yeah, I was going to launch December 9th, which is today, yet it's not out. So what's going on there? Are there still issues with the testing, or?
I don't know. You know, it's actually I can't look at the chat room today. It's making me laugh way too much. I really can't. Like, there are days that I look at the chat and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on in here and a lot of good information. Today is just it's just a comedy show. It's really funny. I don't know. I don't really know, and there's really not been an announcement. But theoretically,
it's a little strange.
They never announced it was coming on the 9th or the 11th. They've never. Verizon
right. That was
not
just an internal document that somebody saw and said, "Oh yeah, it's coming out on the 9th."
Yeah, one was via Verizon and the other one was via Best Buy. So we really have no idea. Verizon has not said a word.
No, and you know,
Verizon,
I didn't think it was going to come out this week.
You did, or you did?
Because, you know, I think if you're going to announce a new device, you need at least 7 days. At least 7 days.
Well, by the way, it's almost Christmas, so they're kind of missing this. You know?
Yeah, I think so. But they don't necessarily need to hit Christmas. I think if they hit January 1st or that first week in January, they're still good because it's still around the holiday time. People still have money to spend. People are still looking for a new device. It's the first year people are looking to change to something different.
Yeah, it is disappointing. You know, that's the problem. And talk about another disappointment. You know, Google has been just that dad that doesn't show up for that baseball game. You know, the dad that promises you that you guys are going fishing 6 o'clock in the morning. You put your fishing gear on and he doesn't show up. That's what Google has been to me this week. The Logitech review, Logitech and Google put out I guess almost like a press release this week, and a massive campaign stating that the Logitech Google TV boxes will be receiving the new Honeycomb update. Well, this week, guess what? I have not received this update yet.
Still
Have not received the update.
We were talking about this on Tuesday with Paul.
Yeah, Tuesday. They stated on Tuesday that
Here
it's coming
Friday,
this week.
and you still don't have it.
Friday, I don't have it. So they have one more day. And I doubt I'm going to get that this week. It's been another disappointment because I'll go on. I'm like, okay, let me go check. No update. It's awful. So
Well, what's the point now?
Yeah, I don't know. You want to talk about the Windows Store, the details about it? It was announced late Tuesday. I missed it actually on What the Tech, and I couldn't really comment on it because we were done with the show. Mm-hmm. But they have come out and announced what it's going to be and how it's going to work. The store, it will be open to. They're going to do two different ways. One is going to be that the store is open to only the HTML applications that are supported in that Metro UI. But I think services like Adobe can link you to the traditional Windows stuff, right, in the store. So you can't download it directly in there, but you could be linked to the webpage to get it.
Yeah, it'll basically just be like a classified listing ad.
What do you think of this?
You'll be able to search for it. You'll be able to see the result for it, but then you'll have to click the link to actually see information about the product and download it.
So what do you think of this? Give me the details.
It's interesting.
Well, give me the details. Do you know the exact details? I mean, there's a lot going on in here. Right now, they're actually opening it up to developers, and they are not taking a fee from developers, which is very interesting.
They're actually doing this a little bit differently than what's normal with these sort of app stores, in the sense that what they're doing is that individual developers pay $49 just to get in and register with the App Store, and businesses can pay $99. That's not so bad. I've heard of worse. That's just to register with the Windows Store. But then what they're doing is, let me see the stats here. It says developers can earn 70% of every customer dollar for the first $25,000 of an app sales. Afterwards, it's 80%, which is interesting in the sense that I think it's great that, after a certain threshold, developers can actually earn more money, but at the same time, taking 30% of a developer's cut is actually a large chunk. And this is something that I've seen numerous years between BlackBerry's App World, developers with iOS devices. It's a constant struggle between developers and whoever owns the App Store and how much they're getting. I've seen this with, I believe, Mobihan as well, is that they always have to have a cut of what's being taken from you. And there's a struggle between developers and the app people wanting to have the most cut or having what they think is fair.
Yeah.
And you really have to keep your developers happy, I think, because they're the ones that are actually providing the applications. And 30% is a little bit steep.
Yeah. Developers earn 70% of every customer dollar. The first $25,000.
I think it's great that they're saying, after $25,000, we'll only take 20% away from you. I think that's great, but I think at first it should be 20% across the board.
Across the board, yeah. Open it up, encourage people.
I think that would encourage more people than they would expect.
I could do a show, like just a show on what I think will happen with Windows 8, because there's a lot going into this, and we are not putting into account that. And we went into this last week, and we went into this last week with Eric, and we went into this with Paul Thurrott on how are they going to separate and how are they going to keep everybody happy between the ARM-based Windows systems. And Paul reminded me, it's not just tablets that are going to be running the ARM-based machines. It's going to be actual computers, desktops, laptops, netbooks. It's
one operating system to rule them all between different hardware.
But the ARM machines are not going to have the classic Windows applications and the classic Windows stuff that you would see with an Intel machine. So let's say we're two people that don't know much, and you bought a Windows 8 machine. You come to me and say, Andrew, you know what? I bought this great machine. It has Windows on it. It's a tablet. You should go buy it. And I go to the store, and I don't have as much money as you do, Suncast. I don't have the $500 that you bought the Intel machine with. I have about $200, so I buy an ARM machine. I come home, and I'm like, wait a minute. I can't use any of my applications. I'm going to be a little disappointed, and I'm wondering how they're going to market this. And this is what it comes down to. How are they going to market this to the average user to understand that you're not getting full-blown Windows? And Paul actually said, he fears they might do, Windows Lite. They might put a little sticker on it that says Windows Lite, and there you go. They've gone backwards.
I think this is kind of why they are pushing the Metro UI apps and HTML5 applications specifically, because those applications should work across the board no matter what device you're using. If it's an ARM device, if it's a tablet, if it's a mobile device, if it's a desktop computer, those applications should work the same across all of those devices.
Yeah.
And that's really, if you're going to have those differences in the hardware, you got to have standardization in terms of what applications are being built and how they can be used with that operating system. It has to be somehow standardized so that those applications work the same among all of those devices, which is almost impossible to do, I think. And it's going to be very difficult and very interesting to see what actually happens with Windows 8 and how they're going to pull this off. Because from a technological standpoint, me and you know a lot of stuff, and it's going to be very interesting to see just how this is all going to pan out.
I personally have not tried Windows 8. I know you have.
Yeah.
I'm not installing it for a reason.
Developer preview.
Yeah, I'm not installing it for a reason. I don't want to base my opinion on this, and I don't want to start commenting until I try the beta. That's going to come out in February, which the beta will be more of a complete version than what you have. There's a lot of things missing in your version. They even said that it was only really intended for tablets to test out. It wasn't intended to laptops. So I'm going to wait to try it out in February, and then I'll make up my mind then. But this is going to be a very interesting next couple of months in the moves that Microsoft is making.
I'll be honest, I've only used it for a couple hours.
And you aren't crazy about it.
I'm not crazy about it, but then again, I've barely used it because of those issues, and it is on a laptop. So I'm not necessarily using it the way that this developer preview was meant to be used. So, my opinion is going to be probably negative about it, which is why it'll be interesting to see just how far they have come along with the beta and how that will interact with the desktop, because we really haven't seen what Windows 8 will offer for people that use a desktop or a laptop computer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was really only, like you said, meant for touch-based devices and tablets.
I don't know. Go into a story. You pick something.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's talk about, because we were talking about this earlier. You were talking about the name change for RIM's new BBX QNX operating system that they're coming out with.
they lost the battle, so they cannot use BBX.
Right. There's a company, I believe, called Basis International that's in, I believe, the Southwest. I don't know if it was Arizona, Texas, or New Mexico. I think it was one of those southwestern states. They had some sort of software that they were calling BBX, and they filed some sort of lawsuit or injunction against RIM saying, no, you can't use that. We already used this, and we already used this in a commercial purpose, so there's no way you can use BBX for your new operating system name. And they ended up ruling on this past week and saying, yep, you're right. You can't use that BBX name for your new operating system. So now what they're going to do is they're going to call this, because they really don't have a whole lot of time here to
Why not just stay with the QNX?
They actually have, what's that?
Why not stay with QNX?
I have no idea. I think that's something that's on everybody's mind as far as why they don't just call it QNX or BlackBerry with QNX. What they're doing is they're calling it BlackBerry 10, and they have this big BlackBerry developer conference for Asia that's coming up, I believe, next week. So they really didn't have a whole lot of time here to do a whole lot of anything with the name change. They had to come up with something for this big conference that they're doing in Asia, and I guess the best they could do was BlackBerry 10, which I think is pretty lame. I mean, I just BBX is a great name, I think. But BlackBerry 10, what's BlackBerry 10? the 10th generation of the operating system.
Is it? I mean, what are we at right now?
BlackBerry OS 7.
So how are they going to jump from 7 to 10?
I don't know. I think what they were thinking is that X is the Roman numeral for 10, so BlackBerry 10. But it's just like those things never, I think, are great branding names. BBX is a great branding name. BlackBerry 10, what is that?
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's jumping numbers.
I think even BlackBerry OS with QNX would be a better name.
Would be a better name. Yeah, yeah. Verizon is rumored to be working on a Netflix competitor, and the rumors that they're going to involve Redbox in internet streaming. So they want to go after this market. They kind of want to go after somewhat what Dish is doing with Blockbuster. They want to partner themselves with Redbox and offer a top video streaming service. We're going to get more information. I believe they're going to unveil plans at CES, but I don't know. Can they compete with Netflix? I mean, Blockbuster's not doing too well.
This will be interesting because this is basically just a rumor at this point. We really don't know what will come of this and what they're actually thinking of doing or what they have in mind.
Well, Verizon was rumored to be one of the top bidders for Hulu a couple months ago when the rumors were coming out that they were going to buy him. But I unless they offer, the only way that they can really compete with them is they say, okay, if you have Fios, you have this free service.
Right. But I think this is more of a bigger deal, I think, for Redbox than it is for Verizon, because let's look at this. You have Redbox, which is a kiosk, and it's really only a kiosk.
Are they successful?
Oh, those Redboxes?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Those are huge.
Really? So what do? You give $1 and you get a DVD, right?
Yeah, they actually have different tiers. You actually have to pay a little bit more money if you want a Blu-ray. And I think games are even more expensive than the Blu-rays. And you get it for like one night.
I saw one where we had a Blockbuster around here that shut down. It's abandoned now, and you could they took the awning down, and you could see the imprint of Blockbuster. There's a Redbox right in front of it. So you could see people that were coming to Blockbuster are going to Redbox. It's actually brilliant, and I think many of them are doing this. And I was reading something online that said, yeah, a lot of these kiosks, the Redbox is put in the kiosk where the former Blockbusters used to be. So people are still going to the Blockbuster.
All the mega stores here, Kroger, Walmart, Kmart,
they all carry
they
it.
usually have at least 2 Redbox kiosks because they're that popular. Almost every time that I go to the grocery store, they have 2 Redbox at that location, and there's always at least a line at one of them.
When I had my business, I was approached to put a Redbox in front of it, and I didn't really understand what it was, and I said no at the time, but I was, getting ready to sell. I'm really curious on how well it would have done if I put it there.
Right.
I was thinking that the other day. But so pretty much you go, it's a kiosk, it's always outside. You go and you give $1 or you give $2 and you grab one. And how do you bring it back? You bring it back to the kiosk or you throw it out?
Yep. No, you bring it back to a kiosk. You can go to any Redbox kiosk and put it back in.
Oh, that's interesting.
You don't even have to go to the same one that you went to.
Interesting.
Because all the Redbox machines are networked. So what they're thinking of doing here, I think, is something similar to the Blockbuster and Dish Network deal, but still somewhat of an on-demand kind of deal. And it's really interesting. Let me see the way they worded this, because it was a little bit hard to understand what they were doing. They were going to have a different approach besides Netflix and Amazon's Prime Instant Video thing, where it's an all-you-can-eat kind of approach. What they're going to do is have some sort of credit-based system that allows you a certain number of movies to be streamed or downloaded every month.
By the way, there's about 20 Redbox kiosks in a matter of 5 miles.
Oh, those things are hugely popular.
So it's about in the vicinity of 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Vicinity of 5 miles, but in about 15 minutes, I could be at about 20 of them.
Isn't that crazy how popular they are?
Well, they're cheap.
Oh, yeah. Which is why I think this is very interesting to see Redbox kind of. I think that's what I'm hoping for here is Redbox to kind of take the model that they have with their cheap videos and bring that to a streaming and download service with the help of Verizon. So are they going to do this sort of credit download stream system where it's, cheaper than Netflix and Amazon's instant streaming services?
But it's weird. They have so this directly competes with their on-demand service. You know, like you could order a movie. It's bizarre. I guess what they're going to do is convert everything to this and do it IP-based. You know, this is Verizon. Verizon is very interesting because this Xbox deal that they have where they're going to put their 26 of their channels on the Xbox, the bigger picture is that Verizon has been itching to get into the IPTV market. And they've held off for a while. This is their test to see if it'll work. And I think if this works, you're going to see more and more of Verizon channels being offered on IPTV, and they might switch over totally to IPTV in a way.
I think that's long down the road, though.
Yeah, I'm talking next, 5 to 8 years, but it's a very interesting thing, and it's a make or break to see if this will survive, if this IPTV concept could survive. Because theoretically,
that's what I'm saying. This is a much bigger deal, I think, for Redbox than it is Verizon.
Yeah, but Verizon is looking into it. I mean, this is going to be kind of falling into the same thing. So if they're playing, if they're going onto this online-based format, this is very important, and this could really make Redbox into a big name. Because the branding is very
they're already
similar.
A big name. Come on.
Because when you think of Blockbuster, I think, well, they are a big name, but when you think of Blockbuster, which was the biggest name for DVD and movie and VHS rentals and game rentals for throughout the entire 90s, right? They were the big ones.
Oh, yeah.
Really, I think their brand is tainted at this point. And I don't think they're going to be able to revive that Blockbuster brand. So a company like Redbox and Netflix could really
Well, it's just the way that our culture and the times have changed, period.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that Blockbuster did anything bad. They just didn't adapt and evolve into the way that everybody lives their lives now. Nobody really cares to actually go to a video store.
No. Well, we're lazy people.
It's so much easier. You're already at the grocery store. They have these Redbox kiosks. It's so much easier than actually going to a Blockbuster or whatever else video store there is in your location.
Yeah. We're going to do a couple fast stories here to put them in because there were a lot of stories this week. Microsoft Answer Desk launches US-only support. Go ahead, Suncast.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up a
So pretty much what this is, you got a screenshot. Here we go. So that's a screenshot. Go ahead.
So it's very interesting. What they're doing is this is going to be some sort of premium customer support service that's offered online. And you pay a fee, for example, for a 2-hour virus removal session with a Microsoft technician over your computer. They'll remove those viruses for you, and it'll cost you about $99. And so it's kind of like their knowledge-based articles, only they actually have a technician to help guide you through all the stuff that they're talking about in those knowledge-based articles.
I'm just curious if this is successful. How are they hiring these people? Can anybody do this? I was wondering how the hiring process would work because I know many of our viewers are very tech knowledge based, and they could, if they're hiring random people, this might not be a bad option for them.
Yeah,
It'll
be really interesting to see if people go for this sort of thing or not, because it is something that you do have to pay for.
Yeah, I mean, 1 hour you pay $49 for, and you get all your problems fixed. That's not bad.
Yeah,
not bad at all.
And they're saying that they want to kind of cut down on all the tech jargon so that you have a better time understanding what their technicians are talking about. It's supposed to be very user friendly.
Facebook to host an online casino. This is very interesting. On the shelves of becoming an IPO. Do you know much about this one?
It's really sketchy at this point. Again, this is somewhat more of a rumor than it is anything else. There's a paper called, I believe, the Daily Mail in the UK. This is all basically a UK story. And what they're saying is that Facebook is kind of looking into, well, can we do actual casinos, virtual casinos, but with real money on Facebook, and will that be a good deal? And the reason they're actually looking to test this maybe in the UK is because that their laws are a lot more friendly for online gambling than they are here in the States.
Yeah. Sony Ericsson to become Sony in mid-2012. I think it's about time because that Ericsson brand is extremely tainted. Sony and Ericsson's decade-long partnership may be over. It will become just Sony. Good move, bad move? What do you think?
Definitely a good move.
Yeah.
I don't think they really gained any benefits whatsoever from it being Sony Ericsson. Yeah, I think before the merger 10 years ago, there was Ericsson, but they never really had something big. They were kind of big maybe in Europe, but then again, they just never had the kind of market penetration as other handsets here in the United States.
Yahoo building a studio in New York, reports say. This is a big project. They're pointing. They're transforming a 5,000 square foot office, midtown office space, into a studio that'll feature 2 seats, 7 editing rooms, a state-of-the-art control center, and a green room, according to the Hollywood Reporter. What are they looking to get into? I know that Yahoo's kind of pushing themselves as this media source.
Yeah, well, back in October, this is where this really comes from, is that they announced a pact with ABC News to start a new online news division with Yahoo. And that's, I believe, why they're building this huge studio. And that's a big, expensive studio that they're building in New York. They're saying that they don't necessarily say what they're doing and how much they're spending, but they're saying just enough to win.
Yeah. Apple's Grand Central store is open.
Oh, yeah. I wish I had the pick of this up for you, but I don't.
I have to tell you,
being really
being in New York, it was nearly impossible to do anything in Grand Central Station. Hundreds of people have been pouring to go to this Apple store in Grand Central Station.
Mm-hmm.
You have to realize that there is there's the big one.
Here's a picture of it for you.
Oh, you got the picture. Look at this thing. Yeah. Look at this. Insane.
That is crazy.
Insane.
Isn't that? There's just got to be hundreds.
Oh, yeah.
Of people there.
I mean, listen, there's always a lot of people at Grand Central Station, but this is just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You're saying that people flew as far as California just to be at this
people
new
are nuts.
opening.
People are crazy. Let me tell you, people are just, they have nothing to do.
It's a whole Apple culture that I think this is clearly more about the experience than it was about the products that they're offering, because you normally only see a turnout like this for a new product, like the launch of a new iPhone.
Yeah, no, this is an opening for a store. At the front of the line was Jacob Davis, who came all the way from Albany with his father, Robert. He was first in line and made sure he would be the first customer to step foot in the store. Jacob, who already has a slew of Apple products, he was carrying his iPod and his iPhone, a MacBook, and a PowerBook with him in line. Why?
A PowerBook?
Why would he have a PowerBook? Said he was planning on buying some accessories, but wasn't really there to shop. The guy just wants to be the first one in the store. The guy is sick, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, the hugely popular iPhone photography app, which you're not a fan of, but I am,
no.
Which evokes this 1970s style filter to its pictures, is announcing that they're finally dropping an Android app. You know why I wasn't going to put
they
this,
didn't have an Android.
They don't have an Android app, and this is actually a big deal. I'm going to tell you something, and it sounds bizarre, but I know many people that are with Android, won't go to Android, and they're with the iPhone because they love this app so much. This is their go-to photography app.
I don't
and they
understand
won't switch.
the love affair with this application.
I actually like it a lot.
Why?
I'll tell you why.
So you can put a sepia filter over it?
Yes. Yeah, that one.
That's it?
Two, and I know there are many other applications that do this, but if you have on your iPhone, if you take a picture, you can automatically send it to Facebook. It's not built in. You can send it to Twitter, built in iOS, but not Facebook. This application allows you to send it to all of them with just one click. And Jessica loves it just for that reason. I actually like it because I think the filters are cool.
In my iPod
and I want to be a hipster.
What I've done is I have programmed in, I don't know if you can, you won't be able to see this, but I actually have Facebook and TwitPic programmed in here with email addresses.
Okay.
So I can just basically email the photo right to Facebook and TwitPic.
Okay, that's not a bad idea. You could do that, yeah. But this is a big deal, actually. They rolled out Instagram 2.0 in September, and it did quite well. And now we're going to see it on Android, and this is actually going to be a huge help for a lot of Android users, because there really isn't a great photo app, in my opinion, on Android compared to what you could get in iOS. But a lot of good stuff happening. Suncast, it is that time to do our picks of the week.
Yes, who's going first, me or you?
You go first. Actually,
I'm going to go first. All right, let me load up my stuff here. Are we ready?
Hang on. There we go. Yeah, now
you
we're
got-
ready. Yeah,
You got the thing up now. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
So my pick this week is an application for iOS called IM Plus Pro. There's IM Plus, which is a free version, but there's also IM Plus Pro, which right now is only $3.99. You can get it for $6 off. Normally it's $10, but yeah, like I said, you can get it for $3.99 right now, which is what I did. IM Plus is a multi-IM network application for iOS device, excuse me. It has basically every single service that you want. Jabber, Gmail, Gtalk, Twitter is on there. Facebook is on there. And with the Pro version, you actually get access to Skype as well, which is one of the programs and networks that I really wanted access to because me and Andrew talk all the time on Skype. So if I'm away from my computer, I'd still love to have access to Skype. And now I do with my iPod Touch and IM Plus Pro. I can still communicate with Andrew over Skype, and it's really cool. Let me bring up some screenshots here for you so you can actually see what I'm talking about. As you can see, it has a category there for Twitter, and it shows you your buddies. And at the bottom here, you have your contacts inbox, which is all your instant messages. You can have favorites, which is, all the people that you really talk to often, which is what I use it for. It's pretty cool. You can do different themes as well. You can have bubbles if you'd like. It has custom wallpapers. All the nifty little things that, anybody would love to do and customize with their IM client or application. You can do that with this as well. This is the style that I have it in, which is just basic, plain style. I prefer this style the best. What other screenshots do I have here? It has this thing called Neighborhood, which you can actually see where your other friends using IM Plus are on a Google map, which is kind of interesting. So they're into the social aspect of that.
Let me ask you, do they need to enable this?
I believe they do.
Okay.
I think it's part of IM Plus. And then you can just, this is a screenshot of the accounts. You can have AOL, Twitter, Skype, Facebook, Windows Live, MSN, Google Talk, Yahoo. So it's basically all your services that you would ever want. It's right there. It's pretty cool. And right now, like I said, it's only $3.99 in the App Store.
Okay.
That's IM Plus Pro.
But they also have a free version, correct?
Yes, they do have a free version. The only difference, I believe, is the fact that the free version has ads and you don't have access to Skype. So if you do want an ad-free version and the added bonus of being able to use Skype, go with the Pro version.
Okay. Excellent. That's actually a really helpful pick. So are you ready for mine?
Yes.
So my pick this week, it actually came out, I believe, yesterday, and actually came out of nowhere. It's called Google Currents. Now, Google Currents is a competitor to Flipboard, which is one of my favorite applications. It's a RSS reader of sorts that kind of organizes it into like a magazine style. So all your favorite websites, so if you want to pick Mashable or Popular Science or The Next Web, TechCrunch, whatever, Lifehacker, you pretty much put it in. It has a number of, I guess, websites that it automatically goes in there, and it makes it into a magazine style. And I do like this application a lot. I was playing with it yesterday, and it is a major competitor to Flipboard. I love Flipboard, and I've been using it for a while, so I'm kind of used to it. But I used this yesterday, and really, it's a little bit more flexible than Flipboard, and it kind of feels a lot better. I feel like I'm getting a lot more information than I do with Flipboard. So this is my new favorite, I guess, RSS application. RSSs have kind of taken a different turn. People have said RSSs are dead. People don't use RSSs anymore. And a lot of people use individual apps. Like there's a lot of these sites that have their own apps. Like I know Engadget has an app, and I know a number of them have their own app. This kind of centralizes everything into one thing. So I don't know if you could see it here. This is what it looks like. So at the top, you'll have a, I guess like a little scrolling news thing from the top stories. And then you have all your other ones. And you also have trending stories. So the top stories that are happening right now, you could see are trending, and you could read, I guess, the top news if you want to read the top news. You could also share it amongst email. You could recommend it on Google+. You could do Twitter. You could do Instapaper, Pinboard, Tumblr, everything else that you could imagine. It's actually a really, really good app, and I highly recommend it. It's on iOS. You could get it on iOS. You could get it on, I don't know if it's on Android yet. Yeah, it's on Android. It's on iOS, and that's it. It's called Google Currents, and it's free in all the app stores. Cool app.
How's the performance of it? Is it quick on there, or?
One thing that I've noticed is that it's constantly syncing. Like you'll see the little scroll thing saying syncing, and I don't know if that's sitting in the background doing that with all, because I have a lot of stuff on here.
Right.
So let's say Mashable. When I load Mashable, it's fairly quick actually. I'll give it that. It's actually really quick.
Maybe it was just my iPod Touch because it's a slower one.
Yeah, I have noticed, because it is a first gen product. I have noticed that sometimes when you open up the applications, when you flip, it's a little stuttery. But it's only happened a couple times. And again, we're going to start seeing more and more of these. This actually came out of left field because we have been hearing that they want to do this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And they finally released it, and it's pretty good actually. I have nothing bad to say about it yet. I really like it. It's a cool app. It's called Google Currents, and that's my pick of the week. Great show, Suncast. I really appreciate it. You have a website, by the way.
Yes, I do. I have a music blog where I feature, unsigned artists that don't necessarily have any sort of backing. They're just amateurs. They're people that are average people that don't have any sort of passion to be signed by a label. They just put their videos on YouTube for the fun of it. And I like to feature those type of artists that, they're small time, but they have big dreams one day, or they just like posting videos, and they're great singers and they deserve to be spotlighted. And it's called Amadeus, spelled A-M-A-I. What? I don't even know how to spell it anymore. AMADAIS.com, I believe.
AMADIS. Are you sure?
No. AMA.
You don't even know your website.
DAIS.com. Yeah, that's right.
DAIS. There you go.
Amadeus.
Yeah. I actually.
It gets confusing saying all those letters really quickly.
Listen, I don't even know my website yet. I don't even know my website, so it's okay. You could go to our website, gfqnetwork.com, and get all our shows on there. We archive everything on there instantly within the day it's posted. So if you miss any show, if you want to subscribe to our shows, it's a huge help, and I encourage everybody to subscribe to our shows, especially this one. We're also on the Zune. We're on iTunes. So if you go to itunes.com/GFQ, which they've given us our own special landing page on there, you could just hit the subscribe button and subscribe in audio and video form. Today's schedule is actually, we have a lot of shows on Fridays. Coming up within the next 15 minutes, we have Behind the Counter, which is our comic book show. So everybody that loves comics, stay tuned for that. Followed by the Free For All. And from me and Suncast, we'll see you all next week on Tech News Weekly. Good night, everybody.